This is totally the first time that we have recorded this intro. Hello.
Hi, we're back.
Yeah, it's BnB Anime. We do things and say words.
Yeah, that's totally what this is. This is definitely a podcast for people that know what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a podcast for people that are just trying their best.
We try our best. It's just, it doesn't go well, but we try our best.
No, yeah, it's just our definition of best is a little bit different than most people's.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interpretive best.
Sure. Yeah, that thing.
But yeah, this week we are covering the first core of Blue Lock because it hasn't finished yet.
I mean, honestly, I intended on titling the episode Blue Lock the first selection.
Yeah, that was.
Because the way episode 11 ended, I was like, fuck it, that's a good enough place to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is kind of very much separated. You sometimes with like two core seasons, sometimes they just blend right into each other. But in this case, there's like a very distinct finish to the first core.
Yeah, and again, it finished. I mean, for me, it felt like it finished on episode 11, so I didn't even bother going into 12 because 11 just felt like such a definitive stopping point.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. So second core to us is 12 onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hi, we're here. I have a new mic.
Yes, with fun extra things.
Yes, very, very fun extra things.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been having a time.
Yeah. So now when I end up getting really sweary, Brad can just bleep me out too.
Oh, how dare you say that? Stop it.
You know me and my foul language. I just can't help it, you know?
I mean, okay, in their defense and in my defense, I was not the first one to curse on this podcast.
That's true. But in my defense, I am English.
Yes, and also in your defense, as soon as you dropped the first one, I just took off running from there.
Yeah. Fair.
But it's great. It's fun. We're having a good time here.
We are having a good time.
But also the fact that I have a censor button makes me so incredibly happy.
Yes.
But also I have a soundboard full of other sounds. So, if Blue says something, terribly punny,
I feel like you're going to get a lot of use out of that.
I'm going to get so much use out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how's your week been? How are things going? How did your schmoozing go yesterday?
Oh, yeah. I did have to schmooze. We had a belated Christmas party that I had to attend, work event. One of our staff members was in India for a month.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. So we waited for them to return before we had the Christmas party. And I was under a different impression than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. But the way it was sort of described was like dinner and we're going to do a gift exchange,
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, I could probably like show my face and leave after like maybe an hour and a half. No. Yeah. After dinner and gift exchange, there were drinks. And I am not a person, I don't drink very much at all. For a while I was pretty anemic. And so I just became like a huge lightweight. And I got into the habit of having like one drink. Because otherwise I'll just fall on my face. like I skip the being drunk part and just go to the collapsing part. And so I got into the habit of having like very little drinks, but it was actually a lot of fun. And everyone else was getting pretty drunk, and it was very interesting to see your coworkers in that kind of light. You don't normally see them that way. Got to see a whole different side of my manager, which was very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was very much a schmoozing thing. There's a couple of like job positions opened in areas, so you had to like schmooze for a bit, and then everyone got drunk, and it was it was very interesting. Actually, it kind of felt like, in like those businessman anime scenes where they're all like going and getting ramen after work and they're like with their boss, and so they're like acting really politely until everyone gets drunk.
Yeah.
That's very much what it felt like. Yeah.
I love that a lot, actually.
Yeah. So Yeah, I had a veggie hot dog.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't had a hot dog in years, and it was really, really good.
Nice. Yeah. That's one of those veggie things that I figured would just suck.
Yeah, well, I've never had a good veggie hot dog. Last night's was one of those ones where you take a bite and you go, did they get the right order? Like, this is the veggie one, right? And then they're like, yeah, no, it's veggie. And you're like, what the fuck? This is not veggie. But yeah, it was really good.
How so good? How this a thing?
Yeah. It's one of those brain fucks where you're like, huh? What?
I mean, you should have asked for the brand. That way you could have, had it for yourself at some other point.
I'll have to go back. Say, hey, I'm not here for a drink or food or anything. I just have a question about the brands.
Yeah, like what is your supplier? Give me all of the information. Where do you get your sausages
from? Yeah. Can I steal a sausage? Thank you.
Just walk into an establishment. Where do you get your sausages from? Tell me.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something. All right. And love then seeing the openers this morning. I had an early shift this morning, but not like the opening early shift. I was like the second shift in. But seeing the bleary-eyed openers this morning, I was like, oh yeah, how was that for you?
This is what happens when you drink and have to get up early the next morning.
Yeah. But yeah, what about you? How's your week been?
Week has been good. I got the new audio setup in, so I've been playing and tinkering with it. I mean, obviously, y'all are able to hear it and, see some of the shenanigans that I can get into.
Yeah.
So I've gotten back into streaming a little bit. So I streamed through Dead Space Friday night. That was enjoyable. I had a great time with that. Went to talk off yesterday with the homies for one of the homies' birthday.
Yeah.
And then also I got some new fancy wall decorations in. So if you look behind me, this is for you. See. Everybody else, it'll be on the Instagram at some point.
I see.
But I'm very pleased because, very fancy Your Lie in April poster makes me very happy.
Yeah.
It's almost April. It's almost time.
Do you have singing fish?
No, that's just mounted fish.
Okay. I was like, is that the one that sings? I was so confused, but no, they're just fish.
Yeah, it's just mounted fish. My uncle had nowhere else to put them, so he put them on the wall of my office.
Fun.
Which I guess is fine. However, I will probably move them around eventually so I can put more anime posters on that side and, get fish out of the background of my streams. But for now, I guess it'll stay.
You should decorate them with laid back camp figurines. That one fly fishing anime that we watched at one point.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Slow Loop, I think is what that was called.
Yeah. Get the little chibis of them and put them all over the fish.
I mean, I could definitely do that. Like those little sitting figurines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could definitely do that.
That would be so funny.
That would be great. I'd actually like that a lot. I should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I've really gotten into. I'm doing like a comedy interview tomorrow with one of the buddies, and this is fine. So have you seen the YouTube series Between the Ferns that Zach Galifianakis does, where he just asks people stupid questions and they look at him like he's stupid?
I think so. Yeah.
So it's something similar to that. It's something that we're doing for the YouTube channel that we're going to be launching called The Most Fine.
Okay.
It's going to be like a group content channel thing.
Nice.
That I'm going to be a part of. So I'm going to be interviewed for that. And I'm very curious how that's going to go. I think it could go very swimmingly, but we shall see.
That's fun. I'm excited to see that when it comes out. Yeah.
I will be sure to send it to you the moment that I get my hands on the file.
Yay. Okay, good. Yay.
But then outside of that, just been watching a shit ton of anime.
What have you been watching?
Oh, let me just pull up my Crunchyroll list and go through them. So Blue Lock is definitely one that I've been watching.
Oh, it's so
because
good.
Why not?
Spoiler alert, it's really fucking good.
It really is. Considering we didn't do a sports anime in the entirety of 2022, I'm sure that drought feels nice to be over with.
Oh yeah, it fully scratches the itch. It's so good.
And then, so outside of that, I've been watching The Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague, which is about a dude who is the descendant of a frost spirit. And every time he gets his emotions in a bunch, whether he gets anxious or like his crush is around or something, he just makes a blizzard around him.
Love that. That's
but
fun.
It's an adult workspace anime, which is why I can't wait till after the season's over with so I can make you watch it. Because even though you're going to cringe, it's about adults.
Okay. At least it's adult cringe.
Exactly. So, you said you wanted something different. I'm here to provide.
I did. I appreciate that.
And then we've got campfire cooking in another world with my unique skill.
Nice.
It's obviously an isekai, but it's cooking.
I think I've read the manga for that.
Have you?
I think I have.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think I got it for my brother for either birthday or Christmas, and then I stole it off of him when he finished reading it and read it.
Does he get like a giant wolf spirit that follows him around and eats all of his cooking too?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like eating
that's
stuff
exactly
out of like mushrooms and stuff that are like cave mushrooms and making recipes for it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude has like an online dude has Amazon in his pocket that he can order shit from.
Yeah, I've read the manga for it. It's fun. I like it a lot.
It's great. I'm enjoying it. Like it's been a really nice little break of something. We've got the second season of Beaufry coming on. That's pretty fun. You've got The Angel Next Door, Spoils Me Rotten, which is about a hopeless dude and his next door neighbor who comes over and cooks for him. So again, cooking anime this season is wild.
Yeah.
You got the second season of Demon King Academy, which is pretty much One Punch Man, but more magic.
Okay.
And it's fun. Saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement.
Nice.
God, these isekai anime are fucking wild. Then the second season of Vinland Saga. So we get to see Thorfinn.
Okay. There's lots of good stuff there then.
There's a whole lot of good stuff, and that's not even getting into My Hero and the just what that show has become.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying a word because I'm not spoiling anything for anybody. All I'm going to say is if you want an excuse to get caught up on My Hero, here is your sign to go get caught up because shit's fucking wild.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wrong button. Is wild. There we go.
Perfect.
That's the button I was looking for. God, I did that the other night. I think it was Tuesday night whenever I was streaming Raft with Bree. I was streaming and I meant to turn on the monster voice and instead I hit the record scratch and I had the volume in my headset turned all the way up.
Oh, right.
And so scared the shit out of me. Because I did not expect that. I went to go do a quip in the voice, and then all I hear is just this really loud scratch in my ear, and I'm like, "Oh no!"
Oh.
So yeah, that was not fun.
Oh yeah, I bet. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm excited for more shenanigans. I'm excited to talk about Blue Lock because that's I'm not gonna lie, I've enjoyed getting back into sports anime for once in a bit.
I love sports anime. I know, like, it was only, like, last week that I was going on about how all of these teenagers doing teenager things and I don't want to watch it anymore. But sports anime, to me, is kind of an exception to that rule. And I think it's because, like, for these kinds of things, it kind of has to be teenage characters. Like, I feel like you could do a lot of other shows like the age range doesn't really matter. Like if you made like Jujutsu Kaisen or something, like they do go to school, but they're not really going to school, if you know what I mean. Like if you age them up, like it wouldn't make a difference really.
Yeah.
But like with sports animes, they do have to be teenagers considering they're like getting into a sport for competitive. Like you can do that as an adult, but like you know what I mean, like you really are doing that as a teenager more.
I mean, considering it is more of a build up to play in the World Cup, I feel like you could have done that in an adult setting.
Yeah, because they are playing for the under 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, you could definitely do it for college age kids, that's for sure. But I do feel like, especially for football specifically, like your biggest contenders for your World Cup are usually very young, especially your strikers. For some reason, strikers are babies.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, yeah, it depends. A lot of footballers don't go to college though. They just go straight from high school to the academies that they're learning the sport in. But yes, this week's about football, but my football, not your football.
I mean, at this point, I do it mainly to be a dick, but also just to do it.
Yeah.
But anytime somebody's like, yeah, I want to watch football. I mean, you mean American football.
Yep.
Soccer is football.
Yep.
And they're like, dude, fuck off. I'm like, no, I will not.
It's like, I have a little Brit that will yell at me once a week, okay, if I don't correct you.
God, I use you as an excuse for other shit, too. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm like, oh, Blue's going to be pissed.
Yeah, that's all I'm good for, is just to get angry at really unimportant things.
You mean whenever I send you coffee TikToks where people are doing coffee things wrong?
That was so mean of you to send that TikTok.
Oh, it was great. I am very glad I did that.
Yeah, so Brad sends me this video of like somebody who's making, I assume like a cappuccino or a latte. I can't even tell though because of how badly they were making the drink. But they were like tamping the espresso and just like so crooked, and then just espresso just falling out all over the place. Shots not being poured accurately, steam milk everywhere. Like it was a whole thing. So then I respond to him with, I'm gonna not hammer a lid on a paint pot properly. I'm just gonna hammer it down on one side.
I mean, that would be fine. That would be one hell of a mess you would have to clean up, but that's totally fine.
Yeah, also, that's not the response you had at the time. You were mad at me at the time for suggesting I would do such a thing.
I believe my response was, you wouldn't dare.
I think so, yeah.
Also, so I need a verbal or like a recorded version of how you felt about the video that Patch made about how to make tea, because he actually wanted to hear your response.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I have so many issues with this. Okay. So many.
For those that are unaware, my buddy Patch in the Discord that we're in made a video about how to make tea as an American. And it is one of the funniest things I have ever seen. And also the response by all of the Brits in the Discord is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I just, like, not even like what you would think would be wrong went wrong. But like things that just are so unfathomably incorrect. Like it's like, you know, where some people are like, do you put your cereal in the bowl first or the milk? And then you like have a debate over it. It's like, do you have your cereal with a bowl or do you eat it off of a plate? That's the level that we're talking here.
No, unpopular opinion. Milk, cereal, then bowl.
Honestly, that would be more correct than that tea situation.
Look, I don't see what's wrong with it. You steep the water in the microwave.
Steep the water in the microwave.
You put the tea bag in for however long it takes to listen to the national anthem. Then you mix everything in a blender with some protein powder, bag included.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
Our cafe has started serving collagen in lattes.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. So we have to now put like 2 scoops of collagen in people who want to have like buff lattes.
Oh, the hell.
Yeah.
Canada's built different.
Yeah, we need that, you know, sometimes people want a buff latte with their maple syrup and collagen and cow skin. Collagen's skin, right?
I think it's bone, maybe?
Is it bone or skin?
I think it's bone.
Either way, it's gross.
Basically, you're making fucking Jello coffee.
Yeah, gelatin. Gelatin,
fun
collagen,
fact, to those that don't know, Jello is made from cow bones.
Yeah.
So if I've ruined Jello for you, you're welcome.
It used to be made from horses' feet. Hooves.
Quit horsing around. Oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever spent money on. God, I love this so much.
But yes, very bad tea. You're a bad tea. You are specifically bad tea.
Why do you hate me so much?
Well, yes, but also others. You are.
Are you talking about Patch?
I'm talking about you. But yes, Patch. Patch especially. Patch. I had stuffed, I think I still have a stuffed sheepdog. Not like a real sheepdog. Like, I didn't, like a stuffy. That was it. He used to sit on the end of my bed, like all through my childhood, and his name was Patch.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. He knew how to make tea.
I'll be sure to pass the information along.
He was a lovely guest at my tea parties as a kid. And he made fantastic tea. So this Patch is letting down the patches.
Yeah, I told him he wasn't invited to any of the tea parties.
No, he can't come.
And then
I don't care how nice his waistcoat is and whether or not he's on time from his pocket watch. He cannot come.
I'll be sure to send him the timestamp for this episode and be like, all right, man, have fun fighting it. Yeah. So, Blue Lock?
Blue Lock. Background from Brad. Go.
Yeah, so the manga was written by Muneyuki Kaneshiro, was published by Kodansha, which is very, very apparent considering the giant Kodansha labels all over the anime.
Yeah.
It is a shonen and has been running from August 1st of 2018 to present for a total of 22 volumes. The anime is directed by Tetsuaki Watanabe and Shunsuke Ishikawa, was done by Studio 8-Bit, and is running from October 9th to present for a total of, at time of recording, 16 episodes.
According to my anime list, it will run for a total of 24.
Yes, so 2 cores.
Yeah. My background is incomplete because I cannot do the dropped rate until all of the episodes have been released. That being said, for scores, we are currently at 8.7 out of 10 on Anime Planet and 8.27 out of 10 on my anime list. I don't expect those to change very much unless something drastic happens towards the end of the second core, but I expect those will probably be about where we sit towards the end. It's rated a PG-13. Yeah, that's kind of everything. Unison Square Garden did the OP with Kyosuke Kiwamaru. And Kyosuke Kiwamaru is also one of the EDs, and then winner by Shogo Nakamura for episodes 2 through 12. The second OP and EDs that we will speak about when we cover the second core.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basic overview, it is a sports anime, as we've mentioned, and it is about football or soccer if you are from the North Americas. It is about a young lad who has just recently been, this isn't a spoiler, it happens at like the beginning of the first episode. He loses a match with his high school team that kicks them out of their chances of going to nationals. So he believes it to be the end of his football career for the year, at least. I'm not sure if they ever mention what year of school he's in, but I think he probably has one more go. But like, I think he's probably a second year as opposed to a third year. I'm not sure.
I kind of gathered that he was the second year, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's where I was at too, that he was a second year. But they don't actually fully state it. So he could be a first year for all we know, but it seems like he's a second year.
Something like that.
Sorry?
Said something like that.
Yeah. And he is a striker, and he then ends up getting a letter in the post that says, I got teased for that at work the other day because I don't say mail, I say post.
Mail.
He gets mail.
But that's what it is. It's mail.
Yeah, but you say it. But it's really, yeah. No. Because it's, like, you would even say a mailbox, but I would say a post box. It's the post office. Do you say like the mail office, or just is it still a post office to you?
No, it's a post office, but what you have at your house is a mailbox because it houses your mail.
No, you get a post box.
It's a post office box.
And it houses
That's what a P.O. box is.
It houses your post.
No, because it's posted in a post office, which is why it is a P.O. box.
No.
It's not a post box office box.
That's too many boxes.
What is this, Metal Gear? Too many boxes.
But yeah, so he gets his letter in the post that says that he needs to go to, well, he has been invited to go to this training camp called Blue Lock. And he doesn't really know what it's about. He goes, and when he's there, he ends up finding out that it is this intensive training program for specifically strikers of high school age that they are going to wean down. There's a total of 300, and they're going to wean them down to a fighting few who will then become the top striker and eventually take Japan to the World Cup. So that is the premise of the show. I will say that it is a bit different from regular sports animes because it does have a slight sci-fi element to it in a way. It's a bit more like hard to believe, like it's not realistic at all. And I know you don't think that like Kuroko no Basuke or whatever is realistic, but like the settings aren't. So it's not just like they can do moves that are impossible or they have skills that aren't realistic at all, like, you know, Prince of Tennis, where they're like doing moves that don't even really make sense. It's not so much like that. It's more, I mean, that is an element, but it's more just like the facility that they're training in is like sci-fi.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So it definitely has a lot of the other elements of sports animes that I personally love. It's got a lot of like the nail biting wins and potential losses, or potential wins and losses. I'm not going to spoil anything. You have to figure out what's happening. And a really solid main character who has some really intense development as we go through, and a lot of other fun side characters as well. So that's about as much as I can say before spoiler chicken hats.
Yeah, so spoiler chicken hats.
Chuck 'em on.
I really need to like get some sort of thing
like
on the soundboard. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
To add to the soundboard so we could do that.
Spoiler chicken hats.
I'm clipping that sound.
Oh, God.
That's exactly what I'm using.
I shouldn't have done that. Oh, no.
Oh, thank you very much. This is why you're my favorite.
This is why you're my least favorite. Jesus.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Right. Okay. Go on then. You take the lead. Go for it, mate.
All right. So, our homie, main boy, Isagi, Isagi, however you want to pronounce it, doesn't matter. He's a loser. He takes a shot at a goal, misses. Whole team sad because they lose. They don't get to go to state or
not
nationals.
Quite true.
Or
he passes the ball and the other guy misses because he didn't take the shot himself.
He's still a loser.
Still a loser. No ego.
Exactly. You try to be a team player and you lose. This is what happens. So everyone's sad. Coach sad. Team sad. Isagi sad. Everyone sad. However, Isagi gets a letter saying, hey, come to this thing. So goes to a massive facility. Dude is like, all right, so listen, y'all are going to play soccer to be the number one striker in the world. That's all this is designed for. There's 300 of you. And yeah, y'all are going to play. And last one standing gets to go play for the World Cup. Anyone else that's a part of Blue Lock? No. None. You don't get to play for the World Cup at all because you suck.
Yeah, well, not even just that. He said, I'm going to fuck up your career. Like, it's not even just you don't get to not play in the World Cup. It's like, this is the end of football for you.
Sure. Yeah. Good enough. So yeah, no more soccer if you lose. But how do we weed out the weak people? Explain to how the initial test is done.
You turned into a robot.
I turned into a robot?
Yeah. Are you back? You're back now. You're normal
again. I am
again.
back. Hi. Yes,
Hi.
I am back. I mean, I do have a robot button, but I don't have that pushed.
No.
This is having the robot button pushed.
Button.
Yeah, so explain how the week is weeded out in the very beginning. How do these 300 people decide who gets to move on to the first selection?
Yeah. So they're split off into groups of 11, which are obviously is 11 people on a team in football. And then these teams are then put through basically the first stage of the World Cup, the group stages. So there's 4 teams that are fighting against each other. They're each going to play each other. You get 1 point if you draw. You get 3 points if you win. You get no points if you lose. Each 4 teams play. And then the top 2 teams get promoted and the bottom 2 teams would get relegated, or, they don't get through. However, if you are the top scorer of one of those 2 bottom teams, then you also get to go through. So effectively, it'll be 22 people from the top 2 teams plus another 2, 1 top scorer from each person. So 24 people would be going through in each of the buildings. And so I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but it works better if I explain it this way. Ego, who's the guy who's the mastermind behind this training program, has said to each of the groups in the buildings, there's 5 buildings, he said to each building, you are the bottom and everyone else is being treated nicer, they're getting days off, they have all of this lovely equipment, they get better food, all this kinds of stuff. And each player is ranked from 1 to 300. And their rankings update via amount of goals scored, that kind of thing, changes their levels of ranking. And they're all 300 to 250 or whatever. They're all in the bottom rankings. And then eventually afterwards we get to see which teams go through, and then they find out that the better buildings don't exist. They were all the bottom buildings. And so then you get 24 people from each 5 building that then get promoted through to the next stage. So the first core of the anime is basically surrounding our team with Isagi and a couple of his other teammates and their shenanigans of going through the first 4 matches that they have to fight to see whether or not they're going to get promoted or relegated. And there's some quite interesting aspects to this because you found there's betrayal of teammates. There's reintroducing characters that they met in previous matches. There's self-growth, and all throughout all of this, they are there's a whole aspect of hierarchy and based on their numbers, and then the ego that Ego, the character, is trying to push by saying that as a striker you have to have a really high level of ego because you have to be selfish enough to take the chances of striking, of scoring, with the full 110% belief that you will make it no matter what. So you need to be completely full of yourself to be able to get there. And so he was destroying team playing in their minds to make them become self-centered enough to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betrayal.
But
yes. First, before betrayal, our guys kind of get their asses kicked.
They do, yeah. In the first match, they do.
By a dude that scores a metric shit ton of goals.
Yeah.
But then also poofy bangs.
Yes. Yeah.
everybody that's like gets a main focus in the show has some sort of like distinct characteristic about them.
Yeah, that's true. They have, very fun colored hair or like strange bangs, or they just get a weird nickname, or the facial features in this anime are like almost in the horror realm, which I find so interesting. That they, like when you're watching a horror anime and the smile goes too wide for the face and is really unsettling and ends up looking like a Glaswegian smile, or like, where they have the scars. I think you call them Chelsea smiles in America.
I have no clue what you're talking about, mate.
It's where somebody's had their cheeks slit, and so they end up with the scars that go up from the corners of the mouth up towards the ears.
Oh, you mean like the Joker? Like, you want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah.
That type of thing? Yeah.
And it kind of looks like that. Like the mouth has extended past where a mouth normally would sit. And it's a very interesting art style. I'm curious about your thoughts on the shading, because I know you have shaded, pun intended, other animes previously about line shading.
I give it a pass because, like you said, it kind of gives it a little bit of a horror element. Also, sometimes it works for me and other times it doesn't.
Right.
So I can appreciate it in this one because it kind of fits the style, but also I don't like it.
Right.
Because there are some times where it's like, okay, I'll give it a pass. And there's other times where it's like really noticeable. And I'm like, don't like that. So I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on it. That's probably my biggest gripe about the show. Because honestly, a lot of the CG work that was done on it is done well.
Yeah, there were only a couple patches where I found that the CGI was either unnecessary or noticeable. And I found that it was more in just like very quick shots. Like, for instance, they would just do a bird's eye view very quickly of players running on the pitch. And it really wasn't necessary for it to have been CGI. And it does. And for a second, I was like, huh? And it is literally a 2-second shot or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that wasn't necessary. It didn't need to be like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought most of it was pretty seamless.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But yeah, so first match is a complete defeat for the team because they have no even semblance of teamwork. And although that they've been kind of instructed to get rid of all teamwork because they're all strikers, you do need some kind of formula to get going. And this is where in the first match they then discover that the formula is having a playmaker. If you have one playmaker in your team, everyone else kind of figures out a way. They're like, oh, that's our way to score. And they naturally slot into roles that, like, these people have been playing football for a long time by now. So they'll naturally slot themselves into positions that they need to be in, but they need to see the finished result before they're able to do that. And so once their opponent scored, it gave them a formula of production. But Isagi's team didn't have that end result, and so ended up internally fighting quite a bit throughout that first game. But that's what gives us the basis for their growth.
Also, did you notice a lot of the voice actors in this or in a lot of other stuff that we've watched?
I did, yeah.
Like, especially Shark Teeth Homie is voiced by Nosuke.
Yeah.
And that humors me to no end because the characters are basically the same.
It's the same character and the name is pretty much the same.
God, it made me so happy. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I love that so much.
Yeah.
The show is great. It's fucking great.
It's really good. It's really, really good. So from there, we end up with a character who we're going to see more of later. He just has fluffy bangs that like sit over his face. So he's just like fluffy top hair. And he has a very similar talent to Isagi, our main character, in spatial awareness, just being aware of the field. And he was kind of directing people to score. That team ends up losing to Isagi. I'm just going to skip forward ahead. But later on, there is a conversation that happens between the two of them where it's revealed that Fluffy Hair has become the top scorer of his team because of Isagi's final goal that he gets in that match between them where they face that and that goal inspired Fluffy Hair to start shooting for goals himself rather than just directing the field of play. And because of that, he then ended up being a top goal scorer and then going through to the next round. So I expect we'll be seeing more of him very shortly.
Oh, I would definitely assume so.
Yeah. Which takes us to the third game, where we are faced with a set of twins who are previous teammates of one of Isagi's teammates, Chigiri, who is hiding something throughout the first few episodes. He won't reveal what his secret talent is, his weapon, and so he ends up getting quite hostile about it, and then it's revealed later on that he had this really big talent, but he tore his ACL, I think, MCL, ACL?
Mm-hmm. ACL, yeah.
ACL in his right leg, and if he tears it again, it will be the end of his career. And so he has like sports fear of playing. And so then that main game is the fight between the twins and him on whether or not he can overcome his injury that has now healed, but it's a mental block now.
And then also Bang's dickhead decides to turn on their team.
Yes. Is that this game or the next game? That's the next game.
Yes, it is this one.
This one. Ah.
Yeah, because
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, dude ends up scoring 3 goals on the other team, and then is like, oh, sorry, I'm going to miss some stuff. And then Isagi calls him out. He's like, yep, I'm a traitor. Fuck you guys. I now have the most points, so I get to move on regardless, and I'm going to play for them. So now it's 12 against 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's pissed.
Yes. And that was an interesting development because that tension was not something that was cleared up quickly, which I appreciate. Sometimes you end up with these rivalry things, especially in sports games where somebody betrays someone or they do something that's not cool. And within the next episode, it's all forgiven. In this case, it was really kind of drawn out for a while of like, yeah, we still actually don't like you. You're kind of a horrible person. And even though we won the game, like, we don't really want you on our team until, for a while.
And Nosuke slaps the absolute shit out of the dude.
Yeah.
Because I, for the life of me, don't give 2 shits what his name is in this. He's a Nosuke.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, his name is Rensuke. So
yeah, Inosuke.
Yeah.
But then they end up tying, and it's hooray.
Yeah. Which takes us to the final game.
Against the 4th team,
yes,
but also the top team. So you've got Team V against Team Z, and it starts out bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this team has 9 points. They've won their first 3 games and are top of the group stages because of it, obviously. And it's they have a trio that kind of just is running the show, you know?
Mm-hmm. You've got 2 geniuses and a dude who runs really, really fast.
Yes, and we get quite a lot of backstory in this section of those characters, or specifically of the duo, the 2 geniuses. One of them is a very rich kid whose parents gave him everything he wanted. He was never challenged. And then when he asked to play football, they said, you're too old. Sorry, sucks to be you. You should be a businessman instead. You started too late. And then he finds this kid at school who just likes playing video games and is very bored with life. The 2 of them start playing together. And 6 months later, they're now at Blue Lock. So they are just natural born geniuses, haven't been playing football for very long, though I will say for one of them they did show a clip of him playing basketball, so I'm just going to assume that they both have experience in previous sports and switch to football, because I don't think you could play football. Anyway, they're geniuses.
It's anime. It's anime logic.
Yeah. And And yeah, so basically to win this match, all of Isagi's team need to evolve. They just need to harness their weapons and push themselves past the limits.
Which they do. They tie up the game. And then Nagi, the major genius on the other team, decides to awaken his secret talent and start going ham.
Yeah.
But then, right as he's going to seal the deal, Bangs, that decided to, hurt his own team by betraying them, gets himself red carded by tackling Nagi, like actually tackling the dude.
Yeah.
So to keep him from scoring and to give them a chance.
Yeah.
And then, what do you know? Our boys pull it out. Somehow, magically, majestically, they get the win.
Yeah. And Isagi throughout this time has learnt more about himself and the formula for him to be able to win consistently, to be able to recreate his what seemingly are lucky goals. And he's working towards being able to do that with this final game. He's kind of put together the pieces he needs to have a reoccurring goal scoring system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you give it?
What do I give it? I am very much with the people at home right now, sitting it at an 8.5 because I want more. And I think that's fair because it gives me wiggle room for the end of the season. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting I'm going to score it higher than that by the end, but I need some more before I can give it that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. What about you?
I gave it an 8.
8?
8 seems kind of fair. The animation bothers me. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
But the animation bothers the animation bothers me a lot. Not super bad. But again, the line shading.
Yes.
The fact that it's very noticeable, and like I said, sometimes it bothers me, sometimes it doesn't. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
Also, OP and ED's kind of meh.
Yeah.
Like, they're good. They're not bad. They're just kind of meh.
And the CGI is not perfect.
Yeah.
So.
Which, I mean, I understand, like, you want to show shots of the whole pitch. So I kind of get it. Like, you want to make it seem, flawless. But they could have done just a little bit more to make that a little less noticeable. It's not bad.
No.
Like, honestly, as far as sports anime goes and the CG, that's some of the best on a sports anime.
Yeah.
But still not great.
No. And I think the thing about it is that the thing that I just bear in mind is that I know that it's not necessary. Like, I've watched so many sports animes now between, like, late 90s all the way up being made during all of those times. Hundreds of episodes. And I've seen shots done like that of a bird's eye view of whatever pitch or court or pool or whatever it is that you're watching. And they're not they're not CGI, they're just drawn. And they're beautiful and it works and it fits and it's not jarring. So I always have it kind of in the back of my mind of, is the CGI necessary? Like, could you have just like drawn that the same way as you did everything else?
Yeah. So I guess it just kind of depends.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like animes, in recent times use CGI because they want to use CGI as opposed to using it because it's actually beneficial to the aesthetic.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things to where for fluidity of movement, it's kind of necessary if you're trying to be a little bit more fluid.
Yeah.
However, I think there are definitely other ways to try to achieve what they were achieving.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not an actual animator, so I take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a balancing act of what you want. I suppose if their goal was to show a lot of movement with it, then they probably very much achieved that goal. But from a viewer's perspective, I am very used to not seeing a lot of movement in sports animes. In animes in general, they're drawn. It kind of comes with it, and the movement is often implied, and I don't think about it. So seeing,
but at the same time, props for them for going out on a limb.
That's
like
true.
that, though.
Yeah.
That was incredibly unique to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a sports anime aficionado like you are, but from everything that I've seen, like that was incredibly unique. So that's why I can't dock too many points for it.
No.
It's a little bit jarring.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a huge deal at all. But yeah.
Yeah.
I also really have been enjoying the CGI element to the storyline. I often find, sports animes are exaggerated anyway, but it's nice to see it push that even a little bit further. And I would love to see more animes of this vein where it's just kind of blending the fantasy and realism worlds even that a little bit further.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That everything you got?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you all so much for listening. You can find Blue on Instagram and Twitter at BlueLavander STM, and also she has an Etsy shop. So Etsy BlueLavander Crafts.
Yeah, that's me. And if you like Brad, you can find him on Instagram and on Twitch at BradCarterGaming. He is streaming now because he has fun things and a fun thing with noises that he can do just like this. Yeah.
I was prepared for that, but also was not prepared for that.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about the podcast, you can find us on our social media platforms at BnB Anime on pretty much everything. You can also find our website at www.bnbanime.com. We have a YouTube channel also at BnB Anime where you can listen to full uploads of the podcast or other fun shit that's sometimes out that we do because it's fun, like Anime Island. Go check out those. Or other things that may be coming in the future or have possibly already happened. We don't know yet. We don't know what we're doing. Also, yeah, I think that's everything. I said also, but I think we covered it all. So goodbye.
Yeah. So next week, I will either be soloing the SAO Progressive, or if Blue's able to find it in theaters, then that should also be a thing.
Yeah.
If you're able. Because I know
I'm going to try.
I pulled some research, and there was a theater in Toronto somewhere that was showing the Slime movie.
Oh, okay.
So maybe. So I would assume
I will Google.
They will have SAO. However, for some reason, theaters in Toronto would not pull up past January 29th. Because I was looking last week. So I'm like, that's very, very strange that you won't pull up past like a week in advance.
Yeah, it's because February doesn't exist in Canada.
It's all cold. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
They try to forget about it.
All the theaters are frozen for the month of February. Sorry.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will either be soloing or Blue will be here with me next week. Who knows? But then after that, we have the second core of Spy Family. So I'm looking forward to getting back to the Forgers and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.